Breaking news that has shocked fans. Across America, Rick Harrison's son, the heir to the Pawn Stars empire, has been. The well-known pawn dealer who created a television empire was given a life term in prison and now observes as his own flesh and blood faces decades behind bars. What didn't work out for this well-known family for more than 10 years, Rick Harrison and his family have dominated reality television with their show Pawn Stars, which turned the Las Vegas pawn shop into a popular tourist destination and made celebrities out of Rick, his father Richard, his son Corey Big Hose Harrison, and family friend Austin Chumley Russell. But today, we're going to cover the darkest chapter in the Harrison family's history. Stay tuned as we unearth the startling details and exclusive information in this unfolding story. More than just a television program, Rick Harrison established a career as a self-made businessman who grew a little pawn shop into a multi-million-dollar enterprise. His straightforward demeanor and extensive knowledge of history and collections endeared him to his admirers. Adam and Jake, who have led more quiet lives away from the cameras, and Corey, who frequently appears on the show, are Rick's three boys. The Harrison fan seems to embody the American dream. Bree's family firm was a tremendous success thanks to her hard work, but something went horribly wrong behind the scenes. Even seasoned detectives were taken aback by the pattern of activity shown in court filings. Prosecutors constructed what they called an airtight case, with charges including multiple serious felonies that the judge would later describe as demonstrating a complete disregard for human dignity and the law. When news of the arrest first broke, many fans couldn't believe it. What began as a routine investigation swiftly escalated as evidence mounted against the Harrison heir. Was this a mistake? Social media was ablaze with hypotheses and inquiries. Prosecutors called over 24 witnesses, including several experts who presented forensic evidence linking Harrison to the crimes. The defense team, which included some of Nevada's top attorneys, fought hard to create reasonable doubt. They questioned evidence handling procedures and witness credibility at one point, even suggesting their client was being targeted because of his famous family name. Unfortunately, as the evidence was presented in court, the reality became impossible to deny. The trial lasted 6 weeks. The defense lawyer contended that, "My client has lived his entire life in the shadow of a famous father. This case has been contaminated by that fame, with investigators desperate to make headlines rather than find truth." The prosecutor retorted with similar certainty that the DNA doesn't lie and the proof speaks for itself. Financial data and surveillance footage are reliable sources of information. The well-known defendant didn't commit these crimes, he did. As the trial went on, the atmosphere in the courtroom became more solemn, and family members who had previously been present every day started to show up less frequently as the evidence grew. The jury returned with a guilty verdict on all counts after only 14 hours of deliberation. There was silence in the courtroom. After remaining composed during the trial, Rick Harrison suddenly displayed emotion by sinking his head into his hands. At the sentencing hearing 2 weeks later, the prosecution argued for the harshest punishment possible, pointing to the seriousness of the offenses and the defendant's lack of regret. The judge said harsh words prior to imposing the sentence: "In my 30 years on the bench, I have rarely witnessed crimes that exhibit such calculated disregard for the law and for basic human decency. Society must be protected from individuals who would commit such acts." The judge sentenced the Harrison heir, who had once belonged to one of America's most well-known families, to 25 years in a maximum security prison with no chance of parole. Rick Harrison just made a brief statement after being sentenced. "Our family is going through a tough moment. We respect the legal system and are concentrating on helping one another during this trying time." The well-known pawn store stayed open, but staff noticed the sad atmosphere, so filming for the show was momentarily halted. The public response was swift and intense, with fans expressing shock, disbelief, and in some cases anger. Big Hose Harrison turned down all requests for interviews but was seen visiting his father's house frequently in the days after the sentencing. A family friend who asked to remain anonymous told us they're devastated, absolutely devastated. This family has always been close-knit despite their fame, and they're trying to process this privately away from the cameras that have followed them for years. While distancing themselves from the tragedy, the History Channel home of Pawn Stars issued a well-crafted statement expressing sorrow for all parties involved. Our thoughts are with everyone affected by this unfortunate situation. The tabloids had a field day with headlines speculating about how this would impact the show's future celebrity news programs, and they dedicated segments to examining the case and what went wrong. We respect the privacy of the Harrison family during this trying time. Several supporters left supportive remarks outside the gold and silver pawn shop, saying, "We've watched them for years, they feel like family. I've been a longtime fan, and I find it tragic that this happened." According to legal experts, the judge found no mitigating factors that would justify leniency, and the punishment is commensurate with Nevada state law for crimes of this kind. James Martinez, a criminal attorney, is being housed at a state facility in Nevada. Although experts say there is minimal possibility of success, Harrison's legal team has already filed a notice of appeal. Unless there was a blatant procedural error during the trial, appeals in cases with this much physical evidence rarely succeed. Martinez went on, "Based on my review of the court proceedings, the judge was extremely careful to prevent any grounds for appeal. Statistics show that less than 8% of appeals in similar cases result in reduced sentences or new trials. For the time being, Harrison will remain incarcerated for at least the next 25 years before the prospect of parole is ever entertained." There are still concerns regarding Pawn Stars' future, even if the show has mostly concentrated on Rick, Corey and Chumley. This family tragedy has a lasting impact on the program's discussion of historical relics, and television industry analyst Samantha Wright thinks the show confronts previously unheard-of difficulties. The History Channel must make a tough choice for the time being, but the gold and silver pawn shop is still open and tourists are still lining up to see the well-known location. However, staff members notice a noticeable change in the atmosphere, saying, "It's different now, there's this heaviness," said. Reality television thrives on real personalities and family dynamics. One worker who asked to remain anonymous, "You can see the toll this has had inside jail walls, even though Rick still visits and speaks with customers." Harrison starts the lengthy process of adjusting to his new life after prison officials inform him that, for his own safety, he has been placed in protective custody because of his family's notoriety. Only intimate family members are permitted access during specified hours, and former detainees describe a demanding daily schedule that will become Harrison's new normal. The Harrison family story serves as a reminder that celebrity does not shield one from tragedy or repercussions, and it is a total shock to the system, as former prisoner Michael Dawson explained. For someone who has lived with privilege and fame in particular, the loss of freedom and identity breaks many people during those first few months. The Harrison family now joins the long list of celebrities who have suffered the agonizing decline from public adoration to private pain. A family that welcomed America into their business now faces the darkest chapter away from cameras. Justice has been served for the victims of these crimes, but the effects will last for years. As the Harrison family navigates this new reality, the upcoming months will be crucial. According to people close to Rick, he intends to carry on with the pawn business and eventually resume filming, though the show may eventually take a different structure. Rick is a longtime friend and survivor who has always bounced back from adversity stronger, but this time it's different because this is his son. As the story progresses, we'll keep you informed about the Harrison family, the future of Pawn Stars, and any new developments or possible appeals. If you found this story intriguing, then press the subscribe button and notification bell to stay up to speed on all of our breaking news stories. This case serves as a sharp reminder that underneath the glossy exterior of reality television, real lives with real repercussions are at risk. We'll keep an eye on this case and provide you with exclusive information as it becomes available. This is a family in crisis, a television empire at a crossroads, an illegal case that will be researched for years to come, and the Harrison legacy has been permanently altered. Until next time, thank you for watching.